I joined on March 1st. 15 days later, pandemic happened. Everybody went home.
And I would share these songs to my friend. Oh, this new artist. That's me only with a fake name. It's like new artist. Like, listen.
He did it before it was cool on Reels.
Ek toh, when you're singing covers, people don't really respect you as much as you would like them to in clubs and situations like that. Lots of talking over you, lots of that chatter and the noises, and there were also certain instances where there were certain men who made me feel uncomfortable while I was on stage as well, which was a pretty big theme, and I was alone in this really big city, and I was just 20, 21.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Top Shelf Musings. This is your not so usual host, Sarvadeep. The other two people are not around because I had a lot of FOMO, so मैंने उनको इधर उधर भेज दिया. And now I'll be hosting this. And जैसे आज का vibe थोड़ा different है because it's a different host. We also have some different set of guests with us. We have these amazing artists and they also come in a duo. So we have with us Deepika Seth and Imon. Woohoo!
Hello.
How are you guys doing, guys?
We're doing great. It's been a fun day.
Fun day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Imon here, his real name is Prabhahan, right?
Correct.
And his stage name is Imon. And okay, let's get into it. So whenever I have to get to know a person, I ask them about their music taste. So that's something that we'll be doing today. We'll ask you to recommend maybe an album, a single track, or maybe an artist. Whatever you're listening to, you're hooked to, or whatever you like, just recommend us one piece of music.
Okay. Currently, I feel I'm listening to a lot of indie folk music.
Mm-hmm.
There's this band called the Fleet Foxes.
Okay.
It sounds like, so I found this cover of this artist. And people might not have heard about him, but his name is Jacob Collier.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
And
Nobody's
very underrated.
Very.
Someday, has capacity. Jacob Collier and Maro, there's another artist who I really look up to. And they have this cover on YouTube of one of their songs. And so that's how I discovered Fleet Foxes. And when I listened to their music, it sounded like it's some 60s, 70s band. But I explored them. They're quite contemporary. And they kind of, the music is like this resurgence of folk, but in a very, the neighborhood kind of way. A very modern, contemporary indie sound. It's very, very nice. There's a song called Mykonos. I think that's the song that I would suggest. It's really nice.
Oh, okay. What about you?
Okay, difficult question. I think I'm going to keep it simple. I'll give you a song that hopefully people have heard, and I think it'll immediately give them a reference of the kind of music that I sort of want to be associated with. There's this song by Coldplay called Sparks.
Mm-hmm.
It's from their 1999 or 2000 EP, Parachutes. And yeah, man, that, I think it's a perfect song to me. So I'd recommend that if you haven't already heard it.
I have heard it, I think. But yeah, it's a great recommendation. Also tells people to
yeah,
find.
I'm if I were to try to tell you about myself as a person, I think I would pick that song because it's it's so emotional, dude. It's so emotional, and I am very emotional as a person. So always looking forward to dreamy, cinematic music that sort of makes me want to zone out into my own self. So yeah.
Oh, great.
What's your recommendation?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Wasn't
The tables
expecting
were
that.
turned.
Yeah, well, now I am being interviewed. So I am listening to a lot of post-rock music, and I actually have a playlist. I call it Vibe to This karke.
Hey, send me na. I love post-rock. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah,
Sorry, please go on.
definitely.
Yeah, I love.
So I am unsure if it would exactly fall in the category, but I discovered an artist today itself, and it goes by the name of Avo. So AVOW.
Okay.
And I don't know anything about the artist, but I was listening to it while coming here, on my in my car. So I really enjoyed that artist, and I'm looking forward to listening more of that music. So I think that
Nice. Thank you.
right.
The
So
next
now,
question.
uh-huh.
Sorry.
Next question. Okay, yeah, ask
No,
me.
no. Next question I'll ask. Yeah.
No,
Yes,
by the
sorry.
way,
Go ahead.
thing about Prabhan is that he makes terrible jokes all the time. So
I know.
please,
Yeah.
whenever you want, please shut him up. It's
mean,
completely
it's-
allowed, right?
I mean, when you said the cameras were rolling, I'm like, ये तो वहीं पे तो है मतलब
See.
So definitely, you must have had a conversation with Rolling Stones by now, have you?
यार कहाँ फंस गई मैं?
Yeah.
Okay, so well, now that the introductions are out of the way,
Mhm.
we'll move forward with okay, Deepika. Let's
Yes.
start with you.
Okay.
I want to know how it all started. What was your A point? How did the music journey begin? Like, what was your big bang moment?
Okay, so I don't know if there was a big bang moment per se, but I've had many really, interesting moments throughout my life that have sort of told me ki this is what, you're meant to do. And no matter how much I've tried to run away from it, not practice, not like, do the things I'm supposed to do to be an artist, I think along the way at every single point, there have been like these little touch points.
Mhm.
I'll give you two major ones. I think सबसे पहला touch point is that when I was 3 years old, my mom basically made me dress up as Meera for a fancy dress competition in school.
Okay.
And that's when my mom taught me my first song, which was a Meera bhajan. And yeah, there's this really cute picture of that like competition somewhere in my like house as well, and I sang on stage for the first time that day, and I still remember it. And that point onwards, I think people around me sort of realized ki, okay, she has a voice and she knows, she wants to be on stage, she enjoys it. And I think I also won that competition, if I'm not wrong. So that was, I think,
This was at the age of 3.
at the age of 3. After that, I think along the way, at some point, my mom just enrolled me into music lessons as well. Like, बच्चों को कर देते हैं ना कि time pass करने के लिए. So I had like I could sing. That was pretty evident from the beginning. So I was doing music classes for quite some time. At some point, though, my family realized that I am going to the classes, but I'm not coming home and practicing as much as, they would want me to.
Attack. Okay.
Yeah, full attack. But to be fair, I think that's like a logical thing to say कि चलो तुम 4-5 साल से कुछ कर रहे हो and you're not practicing it as much as you should. And I was like not really sure that I enjoyed Hindustani classical music anyway. It was just something I would do as a hobby at the time. So थोड़े टाइम ट्राई किया कि लाइक चलो प्रैक्टिस करो, चलो रियाज करो. मुझे पता नहीं था रियाज कैसे करते हैं. Despite, because it was like a very colony, colony में आंटी होती है जो बच्चों को ऐसे मिला के म्यूजिक सिखाती है वाला वाइब था थोड़ा सा. तो उतना मुझे आइडिया नहीं था. I didn't know how serious I was about it. So eventually they made me drop those classes, and I felt really bad about it. But why? At that point I wasn't sure what was going on. I came to college. College mein, by that point, I think I had sort of completely given up on the idea of singing a little bit. Although it would still happen on the side. I was singing to my friends. I was singing as a family events. ऐसे कुछ चल रहा है तो गा रही हूँ. But on some level, I'd given up on the idea of like being a singer. मैं अब mass communication में घुस चुकी थी, as a common thing for both of us. वहाँ पे I think college में there was this music society. We had this senior, his name was Paritosh. He's still a great friend, and he used to sing really well, and he really knew how to hold his audience, and he played the guitar. He played it extremely well. Watching him sing for the first time made me realize ki okay, this is what a singer can do. This is how a singer can hold their audience. The gravitas of his voice, the depth of his voice was something that like really fascinated me. Thankfully, Paritosh had started a music society at that point. It was called Saptak, and I sort of enrolled into that society as well, started singing with him little bit. So that happened, and I think is time ke around I realized ki I really want to go back into learning music. But the thing was that at this point the finances at home weren't so great, so going up to mom and asking ki mummy, will you like spend this money to
Yeah.
send me to a music class again, was not really an option anymore, because my mom had better things to worry about financially, and I was also going to college full time and all of that stuff. So I couldn't really basically take classes. I was interning at Hindustan Times in the first year of my college, and during this time people sort of found out that this is a person who sings. So one of my seniors actually recommended me ki why don't you go write an article on the music schools in South Delhi. And I was immediately really hooked, and I was like, yes, I would love to do that. So I started going around South Delhi, basically asking, like, interviewing the owners of these established music schools in the area.
Yeah.
And this is how I came across Bhatkande Sangeet Vidyalaya, which is in Kutub Institutional Area. And I just got to talking with the daughter of the owner, like the daughter of the principal of the school at the time, Deepa ma'am. And Deepa ma'am was just, asking me, ki, Acha, why are you doing this? Theek hai, you write this article, but what about you? And as we got to talking, she found out that I am somebody who sings and I want to learn how to sing. And then she was like, why don't you sing? And I said कि हाँ मतलब finances है, constraints है, अभी practical नहीं है. And she just goes, बस इतनी बात है. मैंने कहा हाँ. She's like, चलो आ जाओ तुम.
So sweet.
And I'm like, what do you mean आ जाओ? कहाँ आ जाओ? She's like, चलो चलो चलो. So she took me to Guruji, who was her father, and like I was also supposed to interview him, but at some point during that time she just tells him by herself nothing. She's like, Deepika Wednesday से आ रही है आपसे classes लेने के लिए. And Guruji was a ghazal singer. He was a ghazal singer and a classical singer. So he was like, ठीक है. तो इन लोगों ने मुझे लिटरली गाने को भी नहीं बोला था. मैंने बोला था कि आप मुझसे एटलीस्ट कुछ गवा लो, आप देख लो कि आपको लगता भी है कि वर्थ आपके टाइम है कि नहीं. आई थिंक उन्होंने मुझसे सारे गामा पादा नहीं सा गवाया था. दैट्स इट. फिर उसके बाद गुरुजी sort of got me enrolled into the classes. They didn't ask me for any money for a good year, dude. I wasn't actually paying for the classes that I was taking, and it was just really surreal to me. And it was, I spoke to my family about it, and I was feeling very scared also, and I was feeling very unsure also ki, like, do I really want to do this for free? But then I think it was a friend of mine or somebody who just said ki, dude, you're getting this one chance, and somewhere inside this is something you want to do, so why not? Just take it. It's okay. You don't have to be like, you can take the opportunities that are being given to you. And I did, and I started learning from Guruji. That's when I fell in love with ghazals as well. That's that's the origin story of how I got into ghazals.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how it all started. I think usi time ke around when I had just started classes, a friend of mine found out about this poetry community called Art Refurbish, who was doing this event, and they wanted a singer to sing in it. I was like, sure, I would love to sing in it. It turns out that event was happening in Piano Man Jazz Club.
Okay.
So I ended up singing in Piano Man Jazz Club within the first month of having started these classes. So it just felt very magical, like the way things were just like sort of happening. It wasn't something I was actively doing per se, but it just sort of fell into place, which is when I realized, okay, you know what? Just give it a real shot. Try. So that's when I started taking music seriously for the first time in my life. I started practicing a little harder than I had ever done before. I started playing gigs around Delhi as well around that time. I was playing like shows at like bars and stuff like that. So yeah, that's, I think, the longer version of point A.
I mean, it's just amazing how a lot of people, and from anywhere in our lives, have these like small and big roles to play. in our journeys, and it's just so crazy to think कि अगर एक चीज यहाँ से यहाँ हो चुकी होती, so it like would have made a lot of difference.
It really would have, dude. मैं मतलब मुझे अभी भी like I still have goosebumps talking about this story because it's very cool. You know, not a lot of people get this opportunity, and I think I've actually been lucky enough to be getting these opportunities to this point where like these angels of people would just appear out of thin air with like tools or like education or resources to sort of help me keep going. And there's so many points where I felt like नहीं यार नहीं हो पा रहा, पर externally मुझे लगता है मैं इतनी सारी चीजें हो जाती है ना कि मुझे लगता है कि I need to look at this as a sign and I need to like keep going. So yes.
Quite interesting. Okay, Imon, coming to you, how did your journey begin, and how did it like transcend into you becoming a performer and then getting into production? Tell us more about it.
So I kind of grew up in a campus in Guwahati, and so my journey, I know it feels very majestic to say journey, but like it started with my family. My parents are massive music lovers. They've grown up. My dad sings very well. He sings mainly in my mother tongue, which is Assamese. And for me, a lot of the learning, at least in my own language, has been by emulating my dad, who would sing. You know, he wouldn't professionally sing. He didn't pursue music as a career. He's a maths professor. But he was in Delhi as well, and he sang a lot. I mean, he was known for how much he would perform. So a lot of what I've learned. So I sing. I try to sing in my mother tongue. The language in which I write is English. But I think the primary inspiration for music making has been again by emulating my father's skills in a way and my mother's passion. Like my father would forget lyrics, and then somewhere from like 500 kilometers away, my mother would like shout the lyric. It's like, oh, okay. She's that person, and I feel that there's a very innate passion that I feel I've inherited from them. So that is step one for me. The second step was for my mother to enroll. So my mother's friend was my guru. I learned Hindustani Classical vocals for a while. Also because like, I mean, there's in a campus, there's always like this group of kids, right? So all of us, we enrolled in that music school. And we started learning in a more casual way, which became more and more serious. Again, from Bhatkhande school. And I completed my Visharad with the same guru around class 9.
You finished Visharad in class 9?
Yeah, but it was also like, it's slightly casual in the sense ki, because like there's always, it was a little, it was not as holistic because we were not, it was not very rigorous in a way.
Yeah. I know what you mean. That's what my like initial music classes were like as well.
These guys are just being modest. We only get like achievers on our podcast.
Hi. We had to give an interview round for some reason.
Yeah.
And Sarvdeep just like rigorously asked us, are you classically trained or not? No, just kidding. He didn't do any of that. But I finished Bhatkhande around class 9. But the weird thing is ki, like in school, there was a different kind of musical culture. And not in terms of genre, or people used to listen to a lot of stuff. But there was a tradition where there's a very strong tradition of sharing songs. And if you, for example, I share a song to you.
Yeah.
Now, if you share the song to somebody else, you have to credit that, okay, Imon sent me this song. I mean, there's this sense of possessiveness, this like ownership. It's an artificial ownership, but like that was there. So we started exploring a lot because whatever we explored and found were our songs now, no matter who you send it to. So apart from this classical training, I also was surfing through the internet to find new music. And so around the time I finished my Visharat, I found, Seattle grunge rock bands like Nirvana and, Pearl Jam. And I was like, I don't want to do this. So I started writing around the same time. And there were some horrible songs. But I was very proud of like writing them in the first place, because I would also upload them on the internet. Now, there was no Spotify.
SoundCloud?
Not SoundCloud also.
Okay.
SoundCloud was there, but not on SoundCloud. Do you know Reverb Nation, the site?
I've heard, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Reverb Nation was very cool. Any person, so it's not like Spotify that you have to go through like the distribution channel. Reverb Nation, anybody can upload. And I made a fake profile, and I started uploading my music there with a different name. And there would be these local charts, national charts, and international charts, and based on genres. So we'd know where we stand, and we could interact with other artists. That was my exposure to sharing music in a way. So that happened. That was cool. So I started performing more and more, because internet mein to I was a star. No, absolutely not. Like 10 listens in the entirety of the year. And I would share these songs to my friend. Oh, this new artist. That's me only with a fake name. It's like new artist. Like, listen.
He did it before it was cool on Reels.
It was so bad. I just took the song Love the Way We Lie Part 2, the Rihanna part. I just made something over it. And if you listen to it now, uncanny resemblance. It's just the same ditto. I just chopified. But that was my exposure to like making things in the first place. So that was cool. Then I started taking part in competitions, and I wrote a lot of music. Terrible music, but still, there was a willingness to write. I came to Delhi very confident. I thought, I know how to perform. I came to study history actually. I was a history grad. I joined Ramjas College. I saw this entire North Campus music circuit, and I'm like, not in my wildest dreams will I ever reach that level. So, I mean, that insecurity also led to a lot of humility in some way that, okay, I need to learn. I need to learn to be better. And I learned a lot from my juniors, from people around me. So I started performing my original composition outside of the university in restaurants, cafes. And sorry, it's getting a little long. You can
go on.
chop them. So that was college. I tried to perform as much as I could. But I still loved history. I loved my academic direction as well.
Yeah.
So I loved music, I loved history. So I decided to pursue music history as my master's. So I joined this course called Performance Studies in Ambedkar University, where I did my master's on ethnomusicology, which is in a way looking at music history of a certain period. Then COVID came. I was thinking of performing. I wanted to like start my performance career. That didn't happen because of COVID. So after COVID, I realized I want to do this professionally. So here I am. I joined this audio engineering course, and now that also opened doors for me for music production, for audio engineering. And yeah, I feel like right now I'm trying to balance between performance and production and teaching. That's also something I started.
I want to come to that. So when you started production, how did that change the way you like perform, or you say compose or sing?
Okay.
Did that influence it in any way?
100%. Production opened up a lot of sounds to me. Production also opened up a different visualization as to how I understand music. I started working with the DAW during COVID. I downloaded Reaper, and I started watching a lot of these tutorials, and I started working. That's the same time I started teaching as well.
Right.
I think that there was no finesse in the work. But then I joined SACAC, Sri Aurobindo Center for Arts and Communication. I did the audio engineering course, and then I got the confidence to do this professionally, and it completely changed the way I write music. Now I know I'm not dependent on the instrument in my visualization of the arrangement. And particularly after working with Deepika. For one, I was very daunted because it was my first production project for somebody else. For one, I wanted to do something which would also do her justice, also uh, align with my musical sensibilities. But the process was so smooth and it was supremely wholesome. I feel like those 6 months that we worked, and that not just changed my decision to continue production as a profession, but also I make songs very differently now. This has a lot to do, like Kahin Durr as a song
Yeah.
has a lot to do in changing that. So I hope
Didn't actually know that, Vesa.
for real.
So how
Yeah.
much of Kahin Durr was done offline?
Was done offline.
Almost none.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't meet
Yeah.
until
We
we
didn't meet.
finished the song.
Yeah.
We met in Delhi when I came to record in December, but we
Yeah.
started working on it in August. No,
Yeah.
September.
Ha.
So like from August through September, we never actually met. We finally met in December to do like a recording when I came to Delhi to record vocals because I really wanted him in the studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of it
the
was
song
actually on
done
Zoom.
online.
Wow, that's amazing. With this, I want to come back to you, Deepika.
Mhm.
How did like artist management come into the picture after like you were so into music?
So I finished college, and at that point, as I said, I'd been doing gigs and I'd been doing all of this stuff. But in reality, unlike Prabhan, I hadn't really started writing at that time, and I wasn't really aware of the fact that I can be writing, right?
Mhm.
So I basically was kind of clueless as to what to do next, and somebody in my family just said, "Ki, why don't you go to Bombay and just see figure things out there?" Since like masters didn't really seem like it was on the cards, nothing really seemed like it was making sense. Music school was too expensive to consider. So I just randomly came to Bombay and started like looking around at music related opportunities. I
Okay.
didn't want to like pursue anything mass communication say related. I wanted to do a music job
Yeah.
to like also get my hands dirty, get to understand the scene, which is how I came across this artist management agency called Nritya, and they were at the time looking out for interns. So I started interning with them, and they were a record label, like they were a SoundCloud record label and a artist management company and an events company, and I was their first employee. So it was just like me, Sharan, Parth, Raghu, and that's it when we started off.
Yeah.
And it was very fascinating. They had a very cool roster of artists that they were working with. There were people like Aditi Ramesh, there were people like Rhythm Shaw, Easy Wanderlings was
Mhm.
working with them at some point, and Nush Nuis, there's this harpist, one of India's only harpists,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
working with Nritya as well. And my job was essentially anything except for what the owners of the place were doing. So I got to like just like randomly one day I'm making Excel sheets documenting all the venues across the country. Another day I'm sitting and writing artist bios. Another day I'm like making album artworks. Another day I'm making I don't know, gig posters. So it was very eclectic, the kind of work that I was getting to do there. And I think I just got really into it at some point along the way, because although the money aspect of it was not so great, because you're interning in an already cash crunched industry at the time, the music industry,
And this
the
was in
indie
Mumbai.
music scene especially hadn't really picked up at the time. And I was in Mumbai, I was living on rent.
Mhm.
I was sharing a 2 BHK with like 4 girls, and it was like one of those situations.
Yeah.
I did want to also start gigging, and I did start gigging in Bombay as well. But then I think at some point along the way, I just lost my morale a little bit, because ek to when you're singing covers, people don't really respect you as much as you would like them to in clubs and situations like that. Lots of talking over you, lots of like that chatter and the noises. And there were also like certain instances where like there were certain men who made me feel uncomfortable while I was on stage as well, which was a pretty big theme, and I was alone in this really big city, and I was just like 20, 21. And so at some point I just thought, you know what, let me just focus on the one thing that's sort of going right for me, which is why I just sort of delved deeper into artist management that point on. Of course, the financial issues of being an artist manager, really young artist manager in a city like Bombay, caught up with me at some point, and which happened to be lucky, actually, surprisingly. In February of 2020, I decided to leave Bombay and come back to Delhi. A lot like you've recently left Bombay and come back to Delhi. And because the rent and everything, I couldn't keep up with it anymore. It was too much for me to handle. I wasn't enjoying my job as much anymore. I loved the gigs, I loved the artists. I was exposed to a whole world of like original music, the indie scene, the pride, all of it, but financially it made no sense. And so I came back, and when I came back, I decided to also look out for more opportunities. I knew of this agency called Big Bad Wolf, and somewhere at the back of my mind, I really wanted to work there because they had Prateek Kuhad, who I was a fan of at the time. And I realized Big Bad Wolf is also one of the first agencies that came up in my initial research about the indie music scene, because before going to Bombay, I did like a quick, I watched some documentaries, I read some books, ki acha scene mein chal kya raha hai, let's find out. So Big Bad Wolf was one of those really big names that sort of came up for me. By this time, I had done enough networking in the city to be able to get connected to the right person at Big Bad Wolf, which is how I came across Anirudh, who was managing Prateek Kuhad at Big Bad Wolf at the time. And I just wrote to him. I asked him if he's looking out for, if there are any opportunities. And as luck would have it, he was literally one day away from posting like a requirement for an assistant artist manager in Big Bad Wolf. So he literally told me that Prateek is going to post this tomorrow, but you send me your resume today, I'll go over it. The next day, Prateek Kuhad posts on his Instagram saying ki like looking out for assistant manager. And I'm like, damn it, ab to nahi mil rahi. Kyunki ab Prateek Kuhad ne post kar diya hai, like kuch 10,000 applications aa jayenge, ab to kaun hi mujhe dekhega. But they went through those applications. They took their time, but in the end, they came back around and they told me that mine is the one that is making most sense at the moment to them. And yeah, man, I got the job and I was over the moon about it because, I think I just walked around New Friends Colony because that's where the office is. I just walked around New Friends Colony for 30 minutes afterwards, just like jumping alone ki like, okay, I get to work with, this is real. And the money was good. The money finally sort of made sense. I was in Delhi. I had a home here. So like financially sort of things made sense a little bit more now. And then the pandemic happened. Immediately, like within 1 month of me joining Big Bad Wolf, I joined on March 1st. 15 days later, pandemic happened, everybody went home and we started working from home. Now, the conundrum was that the entire indie scene has shut down and there are no gigs happening, there is nothing happening at all. But I am still getting to work with like these really interesting names. So, in logo ke paas fir bhi kuch tha, like they were up to something, they were releasing music or they were doing things. So I'm very grateful for the fact that actually pandemic ke time pe meko starting mein ek job mil gayi. So that gave me like a sort of direction to work towards in that time as well. So for the next 2 years, basically, I just spent my time working on many releases, many whatever gigs were happening, whatever we could essentially do during the pandemic. We actually ended up doing some very cool stuff along the way as well. Like because pandemic tha aur hum gigs pe focus nahi kar rahe the, hum live pe focus nahi kar rahe the, hum releases pe bahut zyada focus karne lag gaye pandemic ke time pe. And also at some point we realized that Bollywood is no longer releasing music anymore. So the scope for DSPs to push indie music is now like so much more than it used to be. So it's a very like it's not talked about enough, but like I think the indie scene sort of got a little bit of a push purely because of the fact that the pandemic happened, and the scene before pandemic and after pandemic are two different ball games altogether. We all suffered losses, we all had a very difficult time, but that minute of not having Bollywood music and bedroom producers finally getting that limelight, I think did wonders for the scene. So I worked on projects with Prateek Kuhad. I also eventually became the main manager for Kamakshi Khanna. I think towards the end of my time at Big Bad Wolf, I discovered this artist called Anaushka Maske. So she's also an artist from the Northeast. I loved her songwriting. I convinced the people at Big Bad Wolves to sort of bring her on board, which is something I'm very proud of, because I keep telling her, bro, I discovered you.
Always a proud feeling.
Always a proud feeling. And she's doing so well today, dude. She's absolutely killing it. She's still with Big Bad Wolf. But yeah, management happened. Working with Kamakshi, working with Prateek opened my world to the possibility of actually making money with music, which is, I think, a huge thing I wanted to understand before I committed to this as well. I wanted to know that, because I saw so many struggling artists before the pandemic, people who had amazing skill, people who were writing incredible songs, like people like Aditi, for example, jazz Carnatic artist, incredible vocalist, incredible pianist, incredible composer, crazy band,
Producer
is
also.
not making money. At that point. Of course, things changed drastically for everybody after the pandemic. But yeah, so I think just this experience of going through Big Bad Wolf during the pandemic and just releasing music with these artists made me realize I'm very passionate about like the marketing aspect of things as well. I realized I love the visuals, I love the fonts, I love the colors. Like I really like to go in depth into the process of, okay, what makes a song click outside of just like the song itself. Like once the master is ready, what next? And yeah, so I think that was like the crux of what I understood with my experience at Big Bad Wolf. Towards the end of the pandemic specifically though, I think I was going through a bit of a downhill period mentally because of certain things that had happened in life, partially because of the pandemic as well, but mostly because of like certain unfortunate instances. So I was going through a bit of a depressive phase. I wasn't able to keep up with work as much as I would like to. I also discovered that I have ADHD, which is which was brand new information for me. So just working full time became very difficult, and I at some point also started to realize that there's this voice in my head just going, you don't care. You don't care as much anymore, and you need to change something about what is happening right now. As much as I saw further career prospects for me, I knew that if I kept going as a manager, I could be so much better and I could even be successful. Now I understood that, okay, as an artist manager, there is a very legitimate career for me and I have the potential, and my colleagues are telling me that, you can do this. But on some level, I just realized that this is not why I want to be here. I think I want to be the person on the stage. I want to do all of those things. I want to like make those campaigns happen, but I want to do them for my own songs. So yeah, at some point I just decided to quit my job. And March 2022, March 2022 is when I finally quit. 2 years later, I quit Big Bad Wolf, and here we are.
Wow. Damn. Okay. Well, that's a lot of like, how do I say it? That's a lot of things to like experience, I think, and it definitely changes your mindset. इसको थोड़ा light करते हुए, and now let's move towards quick and short rapid fire that I have for you guys. I'll go alternate.
Okay.
ठीक है. We'll be starting with Deepika.
Okay.
What's your favorite cover of yourself?
Hoor, this cover I did on Instagram recently.
Atif Aslam.
Atif Aslam, yeah, it's an Atif Aslam song.
Okay. Go check it out.
Please go check it out.
Imon,
You don't like rapid fire, man.
favorite genre to
Very
produce.
anxious. Favorite genre to produce?
Produce.
Oh, I really want to do a post-rock track.
Okay.
Really, man. I really want to. I don't have the skill for it, but I want to.
I have just the playlist. I'll add it too.
Please do. Please do. Please do.
Okay. Your all-time favorite ghazal?
मुझे तुम नजर से मेहदी हसन साहब.
Nice. Your go-to song for a live performance?
My go-to song for Wicked Games.
Wicked Games.
Yeah,
Okay.
by Chris Isaac. But I perform a cover version of that.
Which is very
It's a cover
good.
of a cover.
Yeah.
But this is one of my favorite songs.
Who did the cover?
Arey yaar, you put me in a spot. There are 3 words.
We'll plug it in, guys.
हाँ,
It happens.
we'll plug
It
in
happens.
later.
I'll just randomly blurt them out. So please go ahead with the
हाँ.
answers.
Yeah. Okay. Although we know you have reached your managing goals by now, but an artist you still would love to manage.
An artist I would love to manage. Oh my god, so many of them. I love what Raja Kumari is doing right now. I think she's a powerhouse of a woman. I would love to like join hands with honestly any woman, you know, in the scene who's like making shit happen for herself and has like a clear goal and direction. I do manage still as a freelancer, so like I would like love to work with anybody out there, honestly.
Get this to Rajakumari, guys. Get this to Rajakumari. Okay. Your till now the best concert or gig experience, if any.
Yeah, recently, Piano Man, actually. It was very... Somebody... I say this with full humility. I
Say it,
internally brag it a lot. But somebody threw a flower on stage. And that was very heartening because the person who... And she said a couple of very sweet things. They were a married couple. And they threw it from the balcony. And I just like stopped. Like, oh, life is going somewhere. So
I just want to say,
nice.
ooh. Okay. Tell us a new artist you see a lot of potential in.
A new artist I see a lot of potential in. Lavi and Phoenix. I've recently discovered them. I don't know if they're new exactly, but I know that they're absolutely killing it with their visuals, with their production, with their music.
Oh, that's interesting.
Deepika Seth. My answer.
Nice. For Imon, an artist you'd like to produce a track for?
An artist I would like to produce a track for. It's Tejas or Easy Wanderlings?
Sorry?
Tejas or Easy Wanderlings?
Okay. Your favorite instrument?
My voice. For sure.
Okay. This is a bit nerdy, but your favorite reverb plugin?
My favorite reverb plugin. Can I name 2?
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Vintage Verb, Valhalla.
Oh, okay.
And Tal. No, not Tal. Sorry. Pro R. Fab Filter.
Fab Filter Pro. Okay. Interesting. Well, that was a great rapid fire round, guys. Woohoo. Okay, we'll come back to you guys and we'll talk a bit about the song that you recently released, Kahin Durr. If you guys have not checked it out yet, although I'm sure that you must have, but like if you haven't, go check it out. It's a really nice track and it's got this really dreamy vibe. I love it playing it in my car. So you should definitely check it out. Yes, coming back to it.
Yes.
How did that happen? And like, because I know that even though you guys have the same roots, but like I still feel like you guys have very different styles from each other.
Yeah.
So how did that translate into the track?
So, Kahin Durr, basically, I think I wrote the first verse to the song long back, like back when I was still in college and I was like just trying to write something, I guess. It just came to me. And I just wrote this one verse and then I never finished it. And it was just sitting there at the back of my mind कि like एक गाना है जो तुमने लिखा है. Coming back to where I was at with my journey at this time, which is that I've just quit my job and I'm still learning. I'm learning music again. And I think अब मैंने म्यूजिक सीखना शुरू कर दिया था तो थोड़ा सा स्ट्रक्चर बनना शुरू हो रहा था ब्रेन में about songwriting, about composition. I became a little bit curious about the process of songwriting. What is a chorus? What is all of those things? I just started, I just went into this really intense study mode basically because I really wanted to get past my insecurity of the fact that I'd never really finished a song. And artist management wale saalon mein itne time mein I was just so focused on the other artists that I never actually took a minute to grow my own artistic identity, and this time was essentially about that. So I think I just at some point along the way, studying, came across Prabhan had put out a post on Instagram. We used to follow each other. That's about it. And he had put out a post saying that I'm looking out for students. I teach music theory and composition. And I was like, yes, I want to learn music theory and composition. So I reached out to him. We talked and we just sort of started working together, and he started teaching me music theory. And that further, helped me sort of put even more structure into my brain, and I was just sort of building myself up ki gana likhna hai, gana likhna hai, gana likhna hai. Then on this one very random night back in Delhi, I just decided, what, आज बैठते हैं और इस गाने को खत्म करते हैं. We'll do it, whatever comes, just put it down. So yeah, which is when I sat down on my guitar. I actually changed the strumming pattern of the song from what it used to be entirely. पहले एक बहुत ही अजीब सी strumming pattern थी, उसको change करके बहुत simplify करके बस एक 3-4 notes का plucking का pattern मैंने decide किया कि same chords, just change it enough for you to be able to just finish it. And yeah, I sat down with it. I created a demo of the second, like the first verse, second verse, and sort of I created a structure of sorts for the song. A lot of it happened by accident as well, because my logic pe literally, I'm not a guitar player at all. So मैं literally ऐसे एक note को ना बजा रही थी, टंग डंग 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 डंग, और फिर पेस्ट करी थी, फिर टंग डंग 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 पेस्ट करी थी.
I've done that.
like because गिटार का स्किल ही नहीं था, अभी भी नहीं है, तो एकदम बिल्कुल ही DIY AF मैंने लॉजिक पे बस एक डेमो रिकॉर्ड किया. बिकॉज इस पॉइंट तक मैंने कवर्स बनाने शुरू कर दिए थे, तो कवर्स बनाते बनाते मेरे को बेसिक इन लाइक DAW का information मिल गया था. I had a mic, I had a interface. So I recorded a demo. I put like this vinyl ka crackle over it, and I just sent it out to a bunch of people. Prabhan was one of the first people I sent it to as well, because I was very proud of the fact he had finally written a song. And Prabhan came back to me saying that he really loves it and he wants to produce it. And I thought, of course, why not? And yeah, that's how Prabhan came into the picture. And we basically, a few weeks later, picked up that very demo and started working on that quite a bit. I think I want to ask Prabhan to like sort of take the story forward, because he's the one who took the song ahead in its journey.
I think I'll start from the point when I realized that, oh man, I really like what Deepika has created. So she sent me the vocal stem and the guitar stem, and I listened to it, and for one, it's the writing is minimalist but very evocative in a way, and you could hear what I personally felt that I could hear the sound of what's possible, and more importantly, Deepika had a very strong vision, a sonic vision, and she expressed them very clearly. So then I realized that those references, she basically gave me those references. Said that I'm looking at this, and when I'm thinking of this aspect of the song, I'm thinking of this aspect of this song. And turns out all of the songs in the references were songs I adored. I love those songs. And I've been meaning to do something about it, but again, never found the conviction to do it. Now I had the perfect opportunity to do it. So we worked more and more. For Deepika, even though she's saying that she is didn't at that point of time have experience on some things. With Deepika, the pleasure in working with Deepika is that whenever I would make some change, okay, she would tell me that, okay, this works and this doesn't work. But the moment it works, it's not like she would say that, okay, this works, and tomorrow she's like, nahi, maza nahi aa raha, fun nahi aa raha. No, she's very clear about what she wants, which is a joy. Because once you hit the point, you know that, okay, cool, we've settled on something now. Now we can move forward. So it's actually rare. The more people I'm working with, I mean, thankfully, the projects that I'm working with, a lot of the people do have that clarity. But I've heard stories of other producers who say, oh man, it's been like months and months and months. I can't get a song across because there's no clarity. So a few months, with that clarity, we started working. We built an arrangement. For me, again, I have a certain post-rock sensibility, a certain ambient sensibility, which Deepika was also looking for. And I found an opportunity to build on that.
It was almost like he's my, producer soulmate. I genuinely believe that, because imagine the night of you writing a song, one of the first people you send it to, and I didn't even entirely know that Prabhan produces essay. Like, I knew he's in Sakak and all of that stuff, but he's never produced a track for somebody. So there's no established information out there. But at this point, I was just like, dude, if there's anything out there that can take the journey of this song forward, then why not? Let's absolutely do it. As he said, I knew what I was looking for, which was the case because अब मैंने इतने साल इंडस्ट्री में काम किया है, इतने गाने सुने हैं. I have actually, the reason for the clarity is experience. It's just like very different and very unexpected the way that I have that experience. But I do understand how songs are made from scratch, and I'm proud of the fact that I've gotten to that point. And yeah, man, like I had a very clear taste and a very clear direction कि मुझे एक बहुत dreamy track बनाना है. I had a very clear journey as well for the arrangement. Like I wanted the first half to represent a different space, and I wanted the second half to represent a different space. And this was a very conscious journey, and there are 2 layers to it as well. Kyuki the first verse, as I said, was written 5-6 years ago, and the second verse was written by a very different Deepika. Right, who's had so much experience. She's seen so much of the world. So I wanted that experience to be reflected in the production of the song as well. And even thematically, Kahin Durr is a song about a space that exists beyond the realms of like our everyday existence, because I'm basically imagining a version of a love story that couldn't really happen in the real world, happening in a dream reality. That's the idea behind the song. So the transition from the first verse to the second verse was also like a transition from reality to dreams. So yeah, that's like a structure that we came up with together, and I think it was mad fun, dude.
Yeah.
More than anything else, it was just like so fun. The conversations we would have, like we recorded it all. I still haven't gone through the footage, but I have it, and I'm looking forward to a time where I have the patience to look through it.
Over Zoom, everything over Zoom.
Everything over Zoom. I am sitting in Bombay, he's sitting in Delhi.
And I really think that listening to this whole story has also added to my own experience. Now that I'll go back and listen to this song, I feel like that'll make me connect more with the song, I think. And I also love this thing that this whole thing was not just a collaborative process ki sirf you're 2 people, you're the producer, you're the singer and the performer. It was not just that, it was a whole give and take like thing.
It absolutely was.
100%.
It absolutely was. It was just 2 people with very similar tastes coming together to create something they really love, and that really, I think it really translates in the final product as well.
And even now, I think like, so I mean, Deepika is also helping me out for my debut. And the kind of conversation, I mean, there's still a lot of meetings that we'll have. But considering that we've established a certain kind of dynamics between each other, I'm so looking forward. So she's helping me out with marketing promotion of my single. So, I mean, with the kind of experience that Deepika brings to the table, I feel that now I'm on the other receiving end of her wisdom in a way. So yeah, it's something I'm hoping that, I mean, this give and take thing that you're talking about, this interaction, I hope that it lasts for quite a while. I mean, it's something
Yeah,
I'm
and
looking
that
forward to.
feeling is pretty mutual. Like we haven't really
Stop
essay.
it. Stop it.
And I'm sure,
The
like,
student becomes the teacher.
yeah, and we all hope too that it lasts longer, and like
It will.
we'll see more stuff. So I do remember this time that I met you, Deepika, in an event, and we had a conversation around our own practices of Hindustani classical music and how's it going. And I remember you like telling me how the guilt takes over at times, that you are not practicing enough. And even though I wasn't practicing enough, but coming back to it, uh, how does that work for you guys as individuals? Because this is something I think a lot of artists would relate with,
Mhm.
that when you are into that practice wali cheese and then you feel like you're not doing enough, and let's face it, everyone feels that at some point. So how do you like deal with it?
You want me to take this one? Okay. So I've had a very complicated relationship with practice my entire life. And although on the surface, I've been singing well. I know that, ऐसे लग रहा है कि Deepika sings so well. Like people have always been very appreciative of my voice in specific. And my voice has continued to evolve over the years. I was constantly also very critical of myself for not practicing at a certain standard that I had built up in my mind. And this standard was also the reason that I wasn't like confident about pursuing music from the beginning itself. Later though, like more, this is a very recent thing that has happened to me, that I've gotten a little bit more involved in my own mental health and understanding कि अच्छा इतने सालों से तुम्हें कुछ करना है और you know you really want to do this, then why are you not able to do it? पहले क्या हो रहा था, I was not able to do it and I was just living in that guilt of not being able to do it. I was constantly ashamed of the fact that I'm not able to do it. I was not talking about the fact that I am a musician to the people around me enough. I was interacting with artists as a manager because of this guilt. And I think that guilt was just so heavy. And at some point along the way, through therapy and through the things that happened in my life, I think I decided to drop that guilt. I just decided to take this big chunk of heaviness that has been holding me back and that has been making me feel so terrible about myself, and just put it aside. And the day that I did that, I finally asked myself ki acha, why aren't you practicing? Which is when I started looking for answers, which is how I came across the fact that, okay, I have ADHD, and ADHD essentially means that my brain lacks the dopamine to sit through certain tasks. And of course, you don't have to have ADHD to feel guilt about not being able to practice music. I think mera itna extreme case tha, which is why I had to take such a long path to get to this point. But the guilt was actually my biggest enemy. And the day that I decided to stop feeling guilty about not being able to practice, I still don't practice every day, by the way. I realized that, okay, now I finally have the space to enjoy this.
Yeah.
And today my music education is very eclectic. Some days I'm only producing, some days I'm just doing a deep dive on YouTube, understanding production, understanding songwriting, understanding whatever it is that is coming my way. But now I've developed this minimalist approach to my education where I do something. And it doesn't have to be the thing that is in that massive standard in my brain. It is just something, and over the time it genuinely compounds. And I've released a song. I think my voice has grown so much in the last couple of years, and it's all just the compound interest of like these little actions I've done along the way. It's very psychological. the fact that you're not able to practice. And to anybody who's feeling guilt of not being able to practice music at home, know that it does not mean that you don't love music. Don't listen to that voice. It's a lie. You love doing this, which is why you're feeling this guilt. It's the guilt that is your enemy, not the lack of practice.
Yeah, that's so true. And I also feel like that we came all this way to this point, and then we let it, not work out because of this guilt at times, because we came here to enjoy this. We did not figure out कि इससे पैसे बनाएंगे हम, and then somewhere there's like this self-induced pressure जो कि starting से maybe हमें मिलता है, I don't know, but like then we started putting it on ourselves कि now we have to make something of it. Maybe you don't.
And it's heavy.
Yeah.
And when you feel heavy, you can't get up. It's as simple as that. So I think the problem is to look at the reason for the heaviness and to work on the heaviness before you work on actually going and practicing. First, see what's holding you back mentally.
Yeah, that's so true. Dealing with all this heaviness, let's take this towards a lighter tone. I have a task for you guys.
Okay.
Since you guys have already worked on Kahin Durr, I want you to perform it for our audience and for me and for all of us here. And I want you to do it a bit differently. Maybe, have like a different style to it. I don't know, do some music thing of yours. I don't know. I'm not the musician here, but yeah, like do it in a different way.
Okay. Absolutely. एक दिन मिलो ना कहीं दूर मिलो ना जहाँ तुम और मैं और बातें चाहते बनो ना कहीं दूर जहाँ तुम और मैं और बातें इस जगह ना बंदिशें ना रंजिशें बस ख्वाहिशें एक दिन मिलो ऐसे धुंधली रातों में जुगनू हो जैसे कुछ यूं लगे कि सब कुछ नया है जो भी रहा था वो भी सफा है लिख दे नहीं हम दास्तां पुरानी फितरत समय की अब ना पराई कहीं दूर जहाँ तुम और मैं और बातें दिन मिलो ना कहीं दूर
Whoa, well, that was an incredible performance, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for treating us with it. Okay, so since you guys like did this performance and like blessed our ears, we have something for you.
Really?
Can we please have it?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, there is
Yay.
Alright.
Oh, what is that?
Cool. So this is for you guys. Have it.
Okay.
Okay. It's like
Have
a
a look
little...
at it.
Whoa. Wow.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
That is beautiful. Wow. Is that me? Is that supposed to be me? That's so cool, dude.
This is...
Sure, yours?
Oh my god. This
This
is
is super
unreal.
cool. This is going on my studio wall.
This is
Yeah,
100%. This is so nice.
Thank you so
wow.
much. Who made this?
So this is an artist called Aditi.
Okay.
And so she was Janvi's friend. So Janvi usually does it for us, but
Mhm.
then she has her exams and all.
Okay.
So then we had now Aditi, and I think she did amazing work. I really
She did
enjoyed.
incredibly
What are
well,
you
dude.
saying?
This
This
is
is
so
so nice.
beautiful.
I wish
Thank
I
you
could
so
have
much.
one of these for my walls, but yeah.
This is beautiful. Thank you so much to Aditi and to Janvi
Thank
as
you so
well for the
much.
referral.
Well, thank you to you
It's
guys
very
for being
heartwarming.
here. Okay, so gifts are out of the way,
Mhm.
and now we are going to talk about what's coming next for you guys, because there is this indie thing that you've got going on. You've got ghazals going on. You have your performances. So tell us more about all of that, all of what's coming up.
So I've been waiting to release my debut for the last 2 years, I think, and it's been a while, almost like an exhausting process. But finally, I'm releasing my debut,
Mhm.
and I've been performing for like 7 to 8 years. But this song is a little new. But yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm planning on releasing my debut around December, the second week of December, and
Pretty close.
yeah, I'm putting it up for distribution in the next
Yeah, we
1 or
haven't
2 days.
distributed it yet,
We
so
haven't
we don't know the exact date.
Okay.
But like, you guys should put it on the screen or in the description when we confirm it.
You guys will have it here, and
Yes, please.
I am probably.
And we
going to
will
have
also give you a pre-save link, which will be in the
Yes.
description down below. So please
this.
pre-save
और
this
क्या
song.
चाहिए? घर आ जाएं. कर लो save. Okay, so do you want to tell us what this track is about?
Yes, the song is called Homage. Homage is a synonym for tribute. The song is about, it's a self-assurance to myself. I wrote this song in my first tour that I had in Bangalore in this February. And the idea was this, that no matter, that it's all right that sometimes things don't go the way it should.
Mhm.
And yeah, the song is essentially a self-assurance. It's a way to tell myself that things will have its own pace. Things will have its
Things
own
will have
time.
their own path as well, because
Yes,
family, and
Yes.
there's a lot of incredible roots that we all come from. There's a
Yes,
story that we all
yes,
come from.
yes,
There's something
yes.
unfolding.
Yes.
The reason why I'm saying this is because I've heard the song, and we heard the
Very-
master today in the car, and guys, it sounds so good.
Did you make a reel out of it?
We
did.
made a small
We made
video.
a small video as like a thing to
Yeah.
remember for ourselves. We might let's see, we may or
Yeah.
may not post it.
Felt cute. Might delete later.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
please do listen to the song. if
Please,
it comes out.
please.
That does
It's-
sound like a
really-
very grounding kind of a song.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's the aim. That's the
will we
intention.
see some of your post-rock elements in it?
Yes, actually.
Oh.
Actually. I won't say anything else. Listen to the song.
Listen to the song.
Just the perfect tease. And well, this has been a pleasure. I mean, I time has been passing by, and I just have been so humbled having this conversation with
Yeah.
you guys, and I feel amazing. So thank you so much.
Likewise, thank
You're
you
a
so much
very
for
good
doing
host.
this.
It
You
was
are.
very, very comfortable.
So much.
Yeah, it's very
And-
it's like घर पे living room में बैठ के हम बस बात कर रहे हैं,
हाँ.
and even like it was my first podcast. I think it's Imon's first
100%,
podcast. It's your first
100%.
podcast, and I think we did fine.
Did we? Tell us in the comments.
Tell us. James Vincent McMorrow. That's the cover. That's
I guess
Wicked Games cover.
that wraps it up.
That definitely wraps it up. Finally,
So okay, to share this video, subscribe, and whatever else you might like with it.
like, share, subscribe to Top Shelf Musings.
And their handles, they'll be in the description.
Yes.
Okay, signing off. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. This is my favorite part.